they said Endo.
After Simmons.
Since there was a colony with their families.
Yep.
Namandavits, 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 namandav, 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 namandavits.
Good morning. My name is Kyle. Thank you for attending this morning's Dharma family and fall Ohigan service. We'll begin this service with a moment of quiet sitting. Reverend C.J. Dumford will strike the bell, and we will sit for 1 to 2 minutes to quiet our minds and prepare to hear the Dharma. Then they will strike the bell again, and we will continue with the service.
As we sit together today, let us notice the ground beneath our feet. Providing with a foundation, providing us with connection. As we sit together today, may we notice the weight of our clothes on our skin, the feeling of the air on our skin. Perhaps it's cool or warm. As we sit together today, inhaling, our lungs fill with air, this great shared resource. Breathing in, thoughts, feelings, and judgments may arise. May we greet them as we would an old friend, without judgment. And breathing out, let them go. Breathing in, thoughts, feelings, judgments may arise. May we greet them without judgment and let them go. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Namanda Butsu.
Reverend CJ will now chant the Hanju-san, which is on the handout.
Namo Shishin Kimyo Urai Saiho Amidabu. Namo Amidabu. Namo Amidabu. ナモアミダブナ釈迦如来心法道小宇宙小言無小税移動者馬糞家に波造上分道修上惑星人伝二乗惑星菩薩涅槃人惑星惑頓妙苦人母二小見相上根性理社会無薬鈍言無知難解語ナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナ有楽教智戦前下不万語祝小不体官業未打教当世即世頓語菩提像一日七日千小分妙断修有小安楽一如弥陀涅槃国即徳不大小無小万語祝実難足一時煩悩百千言若大者馬小母人六道五者公未道ナモアミダブナモアミダブナ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナ弥陀 信じほ信じとんしゃおういぐぼだいねうおうぶしょらくしゅほんしゅけしゅどみょうほうぞしじゅはちがんいんじほんいんいちせいがんいしゅじょうしゅぼしょうごんみょごくらく古代官名無限よナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナが徳菩提と不信さ天狗五歳道修上心相公不明聖法会公将義書皆無薬一一公明相続せう千百年分お上人よくきちぽしょぶ国が極楽安心人世称ナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブな本師釈不行上記上国道修上一切如来千法弁躍動今日釈迦尊随記説法皆無薬各徳語下入心門門門不動八万四異滅無明化合因利見空即世弥陀語 一生少年在会場ナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナふむしみだぐせいりきがじごこうしゅらばじといらいちょうほうかうらく元剣如来にぼんぼ心情十分起源にがご今日しほうこ人生者は本知り薬非本知知識観弥陀浄土運河入徳正浄土星音ナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモアミダブナモがんにしくどく病と不正祭どう本菩提心おう上あんなこナモアミダ仏ナモアミダ仏ナモアミダ仏ナマンダ仏ナマンダナマンダ仏ナマンダ
Please rise if you are able to follow along with the Gatha Higan 1, which is on page 190 on the Purple Service Book. And then please remain standing for the reading of the Three Treasures 1.
purest time in nature's realm, in the early spring and fall. These are the days when hearts of life become one with self and all. In the spring, the gentle breezes, in its most sustaining way, lifts our belonging spirits beyond the toils of life. The purest time in nature's realm, in the early spring and fall. These are the days when hearts of life become one with self and all. Autumn sky, its golden haze, in its radiant splendor, tells our searching heart the flow of nature's way.
I will now recite the Three Treasures 1 on page 8 of the Purple Service Book. Please feel free to follow along. Three Treasures 1. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as the disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, become units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we're able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namidatsu. 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 We will now have a children's Dharma message by Reverend CJ.
Good morning, everyone. There are so many people now. Thank you for being here. I'd like to start my family Dharma talk with saying the name of the Buddha. So please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. I know it's been said a few times, but does anyone know what today's special service is? Ohigan, that's right. Here's a hint to let you know when we have a special service. In case you don't know by all the script and everything, if there's a fancy onaijin with the 5 pieces, the 2 candles, the 2 flowers, and the goro in the center, then that's usually a special service. Also, if we have the mizuhiki, the wrap around the altar, and the uchishiki, the triangle one, we put those up, both of those, for special services too. So those are extra tips. Also, the minister has to wear these fancy robes. And the special nenju and the special fan too. Okay, do we know what ohigan is? Equinox, yes. I know a lot of people, maybe if you knew me for a while, you know I studied geology when I was in undergrad and in graduate school. And so I really like science. And so I've got a cool video to show you that sort of explains what equinox is, but also what solstices are. So I'm gonna show you this video, and I hope you like it. It's only 3 minutes long, so don't worry, it's not too complicated. Okay, I usually like to watch videos with closed captions because I can't always hear the words, but this video doesn't have closed captions, so I'm so sorry about that. But there's a lot of illustrations, so hopefully that'll help. Okay.
Ah, the summer solstice. The beginning of summer. Or is that the equinox? Wait, is there even a difference? As it turns out, solstices and equinoxes are sort of opposites. We know that seasons are caused by Earth having a slight tilt on its axis. As Earth wobbles around the sun, different points of the Earth receive more or less sunlight throughout the year. If Earth wasn't tilted, the sun would just shine directly on the equator all year long, leaving us without seasons and wrecking everyone's summer plans. But we also wouldn't have solstices or equinoxes. Solstices designate the point where the sun's path in the sky is the farthest north or south from the equator, which occurs around the 20th and 21st of June and the 21st and 22nd of December. The summer solstice marks the beginning of summer and is the longest day of the year, just as the winter solstice marks the beginning of winter and is the shortest day of the year. But which solstice happens on which day depends on the hemisphere you live in. In the northern hemisphere, summer starts in June when the sun is beaming directly over the Tropic of Cancer, while winter starts in December when the sun shines down on the Tropic of Capricorn. This is flipped for the southern hemisphere, which is why Australians associate the new year with summer fun. Alright, so what about equinoxes? Well, that's simple. The equinoxes are when the sun is right over the equator, in between the two tropics. They occur around March 21st and September 23rd, and mark the beginning of spring or autumn. We call the beginning of spring the vernal equinox, while the beginning of autumn is, conveniently, the autumnal equinox. Again, which is which depends on the hemisphere, but during both equinoxes, day and night last the same amount of time. Here's a handy mnemonic device. Equi means equal, and nox means night, which tells you that the day and the night are of equal length. So at the end of the day, while solstices and equinoxes are related, they happen at different times of the year. Just remember that solstices are the longest and shortest days of the year, while equinoxes occur when the day and night are equally as long. Regardless of whether it's a solstice or an equinox, there's bound to be a celebration happening somewhere.
Okay. So that's the science behind equinox. Are there any questions? I don't know that I can answer them, but I can try. Okay, helpful, good. That's good feedback. So beyond the scientific explanation of what an equinox is, for us as Buddhists, there's an important teaching in celebrating the equinox and the solstices. And that is, can you guess? No. Impermanence and transition, which was part of our theme for this month. And so during the equinox, when the time of day and night is about equal, we're entering a transition phase. In the fall, we're coming into fall. We're coming into winter. And that's a time where the days are shorter, and that means maybe it's better for us to rest more. So the earth and the moon and the stars, all of these things can teach us a lot about how our bodies might function more happily if we take care of ourselves, sort of following these cycles of how long the day is. If the day is really long, then we have lots of time to play or work or whatever. And at night, in the winter, when the days are really short, hopefully we have a lot more time to rest and take care of ourselves and be with the ones we love. And so this is sort of understanding the cycles of how our world works is also part of understanding the cycles of how we can function in the world too. And so on Ohigan, I hope we can remember this is a time to remember impermanence, remember transition, and how things are always changing. Okay, so please join me in Gassho as we say the name of the Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend CJ, for your Dharma talk. 3 minutes with video helped me to understand science a little bit. Please rise if you are able to follow along with the Gatha Oneness, which is on page 180 of the Purple Service Book.
The north meets the south at the equator. The night meets the day at the setting of the sun. But Amida meets me wherever I am, at home or a faraway place, a desert isle or amidst a sea of people. Remember that I am not alone. Amida and I are one, and I bow my head in gratitude. I bow my head in Gassho.
Now we'd like to welcome our guests. For the guests, please stand so we can wave to you. The guest today is the Masalot family of Amber, Gillis, Ben, and Chloe. Thank you for joining us today. Now I'll read the announcements that have been submitted. we have our monthly online study session, the Dharma, which is on Thursday, September 26th at 6:30. This week's topic is Transition, Aging, and the Six Paramita. The sign-up link is on the website. Next is the Trans Allyship, entitled Learn, Grow, and Act, which is a virtual symposium. It is an effort by the OCADI, the Japanese Citizens League, and PFLAG. The symposium will be held virtually over Zoom on Saturday, September 28, from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and will feature an opening plenary, guest speakers, workshops, and discussion groups exploring areas of advocacy, information, and family support. Registration is free and open to all. The flyer is posted in the social hall, and it's also included in the weekly email. Next is the online meditation and discussion, which is Wednesday, October 2 at 7 p.m. The sign-up link is also on the website. And for next week, the Jodo Shinshu Center parking will be available on Sunday, September 29. The gate will be open at 9 a.m. and close at 9:30 sharp. So please arrive during this hour to take advantage of the parking for the Sunday service. Also, after today's service from 12 to 3, JSE is having their annual Family Day, which is a free event for families. Now students will be dismissed to their classes. Would Dharma School students please go to the front, Gasho, and head to your classrooms. All others are invited to remain for the adult Dharma talk.
Hello again. Time for Dharma Talk number 2. Okay. For my adult Dharma talk, I wanted to share a little bit more about Ohigan. And as we know, this is our autumnal equinox service and a special time of year where we remember the teachings of impermanence. And some of us may honor our ancestors and express our gratitude for their guidance and contemplate our own path along our way to the Pure Land. For Ohigan, literally the interpretation of this word on the screen, O is in Japanese honorific title, and Higan literally means other shore. So the historical and religious significance of this service during this beautiful time of year is to reflect on our own pursuit of awakening via the contributions of our ancestors, our Sangha, and the aspirations that we carry in our own hearts. On this slide that I'm sharing, you'll see an image of a painting of higambana, or higam flower. We often call them red spider lilies in English. In Japan, these flowers come into full bloom at this time of year, and many people in Japan and around the world offer higambana, or red spider lilies, at the graves of their ancestors to honor them during the fall equinox. In a sense, this is a way of celebrating their birth in the Pure Land and holding them in our memories as we follow them on the path towards the other shore, Ohigan, beyond this life. Please join me in Gassho as I share the words of Pure Land Master Shandao. Sentient beings, long sinking in birth and death, for innumerable kalpas lost in transmigration, being bound in delusion by our own karma, have no means of gaining emancipation for ourselves. Reverently embracing Shakyamuni's teaching and Buddha's exhortations to advance westward, and obeying Amida's call to us with Buddha's compassionate heart, the traveler accepts and accords with the mind of the two honored ones, Shakyamuni and Amida, never giving a thought to the two rivers of water and fire, and taking the call of the honored ones to heart at every moment. We entrust ourselves to the path of the power of the vow. After our death, we attain birth in that land and meet the Buddha. How boundless is our joy. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This passage is the conclusion of a parable by Venerable Shandao. And for my Dharma message today, I'd simply like to share that parable from Venerable Shandao on the two rivers and the white path as it relates to this very special service and the opening Gosandai that we just read together. Here's a nice image of a painting of the two rivers and the white path. If you go to a lot of different temples, they might have it hanging on the wall somewhere. So if maybe as a scavenger hunt, I would encourage you to look for this painting at other temples. I know we have one up at Marin. So here goes the parable. I paraphrased it just a little bit for length. Imagine, if you will, that there's a traveler journeying an immeasurable distance toward the west, over many continents. Along the way, suddenly they come upon two rivers in a single channel, one made of fire extending southward, and the other of water extending north. These rivers are only about 100 meters wide and extend beyond the horizon to the north and to the south. Dividing the fire and water is a single narrow white path. This path goes from the eastern bank to the western bank and is only about 10 centimeters wide, about the width of your hand. and will take time and great care to traverse. Billows of water surge over the path, and flames sweep up and scorch it. Water and fire thus assault the path endlessly. The traveler, having already journeyed deep into the wilderness, is far from any town or village. However, not far behind, packs of wild beasts and bandits hunt the traveler. Fearing for their life, the traveler turns towards the west and comes upon the river of fire and water. The traveler ponders to themselves, "This river goes on forever. The only way to safety is this narrow and terrifying white path. Although the river isn't very wide, how can I cross it? I know that I won't survive the day. If I turn back, the bandits or the wild beasts will get closer, and I can't face them. If I flee north or south, I will certainly meet the same fate. However, if I try to cross these rivers, I know I'll fall into the blazing fire or tempestuous waters." The traveler is overcome with despair and begins to lose hope when suddenly they hear an encouraging voice from someone on the eastern bank nearby. "Dear traveler," the voice says, "please find courage and follow the path forward. I promise that you can make it, but if you stay here, you will certainly die." Just then the traveler hears someone from the western bank on the other side of the river. They say, "Traveler, focus your intention. With a mind that is single and right-mindedness, come at once. I will protect you. Don't be afraid of falling into the river." Upon hearing the two supported voices calling to them, the traveler believes and trusts in the words that they have heard, and single-mindedly approaches the path without any doubt or uncertainty. After taking just a few steps onto the white path, the bandits call out to them from the eastern shore, "Traveler, come back. You can't make it across the two rivers. You're going to die. None of us here will hurt you." Though the traveler hears the voices of the bandits, they ignore them and continue forward on the white path, thinking only of this path and advancing directly forward with a mind that is single. And then they reach the western side. There, the traveler is free forever from their afflictions, and upon meeting a good friend, they are filled with joy. Shandao then explains that we are the traveler in this story, and the eastern shore, which is frightening because of the wilderness and the danger of the wild beasts and bandits, is the Saha world in which we're living. Our world is referred to as a burning house, a temporary residence of danger and discomfort in the Lotus Sutra. And Shandao borrows this imagery too to describe the situation of our unenlightened lives in this world here on the eastern shore. He says that the bandits and the wild beasts are our ego-centered desires for constancy, for material wealth, and other myriad attachments that cause us to live our lives out of balance with the reality of things. They also represent those who would draw us away from our spiritual path forward to awakening. People who might ridicule us for following the Buddha way, or those who distort and slander the Buddha Dharma. We are cautioned to turn away from such things that will tie us to this world of delusion. The river of water, Shandao says, is our greed and our selfish desires. And the river of fire is our harmful anger and the hatred that we live in. These parts of our lives, this water and fire, constantly assail us on our path, and they have no end. The two rivers represent our inner struggles that often boil over or lash out to harm not just ourselves, but also others. The white path is the mind that aspires for liberation, for birth in the Pure Land. Shandao points out that while the rivers are turbulent and vast, the path is very small and difficult to navigate. Things to keep in mind as we live our lives. The voice on the eastern shore in this world of pain is that of Shakyamuni Buddha, who, though this Buddha has long entered into nirvana, speaks to us through the teachings, through the Buddha Dharma, encouraging us to pursue enlightenment and liberation. The voice on the western shore is that of Amida Buddha, telling us that they will protect us if only we summon up the courage to follow the path to the western shore of the Pure Land. Once there, we will be united with Buddha and all of our loved ones who have walked the path before us. The most important part of this story for my talk today is the other shore, Ohigan. Once we reach that western shore, we become one with Buddha and all those who have walked the path before us, thereby becoming one with that voice, calling to others to follow this path of wisdom and compassion toward awakening and birth. I'd like to conclude my Dharma message with the conclusion of Venerable Shandao's explanation of the parable of the two rivers and the white path once more. Please join me in Gassho. Sentient beings, long sinking in birth and death, for innumerable kalpas lost in transmigration, being bound in delusion by our own karma, have no means of gaining emancipation for ourselves. Reverently embracing Shakyamuni's teaching in Buddha's exhortations to advance westward, obeying Amida's call to us with Buddha's compassionate heart, the traveler accepts and accords with the mind of the two honored ones. Never giving a thought to the two rivers of water and fire, taking the call of the honored ones at heart at every moment, we entrust ourselves to the path of the power of the vow. After our death, we attain birth in that land and meet the Buddha. How boundless is our joy. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 That will conclude our fall Ohigan service for this year. I'd like to share a few thank yous, but first I wanted to make a quick announcement. Rumi-san sent out an email to everyone about Interfaith for Ceasefire. Hopefully you received that email. If you're interested in joining that group, we hold regular events at different religious spaces. And the topic is generally about understanding what's happening in Palestine and how we might work towards peace for those communities there. Now I'll go back to the announcements, or the acknowledgements. Thank you to Kyle for being the chairperson. I think he's with Dharma School now. Thank you to our live streaming team for their help during today's service. Thank you to Emiko, Tony, and the Sangha singers for leading the gathas. And thank you to the September Tobans for preparing refreshments in the social hall. Also, thank you to Tara for helping out with the service today, too. This concludes today's service. Thank you to everyone who joined us in person and online.